Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings on a Friday morning. Dave Hughes here. And joining us now, we have the State Director for Mississippi for Americans for Prosperity, Miss Starla Brown joins us. Starla, how are you this morning?
I'm doing super great, just like SuperTalk.
Oh, see, I like that. Can we, Lance, start the paperwork? Can we just hire her as a mascot?
Yeah, she's ready to go, man. She's been busy. They've been out knocking on doors in 400-degree weather, and she's busy around here.
That's a thankless task, Starla.
Yeah, but it's what a grassroots organization does, right? We go out and talk to people at their doorsteps. We call them on the phone. We educate them. We meet with people around the state. We talk with our lawmakers. It's on and on and on. And even our grassroots advocates talk to our lawmakers. And we'll be doing more of that this year. We're excited to be hosting some events with them. And, that's what we do. We want to make sure the public is as informed as possible on the things that we're supporting or the things we're opposing. We hope to support more than we oppose. That's always hopefully the rule of the day. But sometimes there are things that pop up that, we say aren't good for people in Mississippi.
Well, and that's always the case. It doesn't matter what else is going on. There's always good and bad. As you go around and you talk to people, your organization, you are in a unique position where you can kind of take the temperature. What are you hearing from folks in Mississippi about how things are going right now?
Well, we're just coming off working on a lot of federal policy, right? Session's been over for a little while, and since last fall, we're working on the ABBA, or One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and so we've been working through that. Back in 2017, I was with the Florida chapter. I'm from Mississippi, but did a part of my life down there in South Florida, and had the opportunity to work on what was called then the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And we're just super excited. Shout out to our two senators, three of our congressmen. We had one who voted, Benny Thompson, who voted to increase our taxes.
You didn't have to say the name. We all knew who it was.
Right, exactly. So we did send a clear message to him on tax day, hoping he would change his mind, but that didn't happen. But we were part of a large national grassroots advocacy fight all across the country that included all of those tactics we just talked about. And we're happy to say the bill has passed, and we are excited that the largest tax cut in history did not happen, and Americans and American businesses can feel confident in what their taxes look like for a permanent decrease.
What is the next big challenge facing us right now?
Spending. I would say spending. I mean, obviously, we just passed a rescissions package that made some cuts in spending, and we're hopeful to see more of that. I think Speaker Johnson right now is showing incredible leadership over in the House, and we've got to rein in spending. I mean, we cannot. It's like inflation. We talked a lot about inflation over the last 4 years, but we can't spend our way out of it. That doesn't work. That's actually the cause, right? That printing money. So at this point, I think we've got to really take serious looks at where we can use the tools like the rescissions package to cut back on monies that, I remember years ago working in Florida with government entities, and, there was this mindset that, okay, we've given you, let's just say it's $500. We'll use a very small number. And if you only spent $400 and it was the last month of the year, there was a mad dash to spend that other $100 because you might not get it again. That's not how we do our budgets at home, and that's not how we should do our budget as a government.
Yeah, use it or lose it has been the policy at a lot of levels for a long time. And it seems like if you use the same amount every year, then you're eligible to get that amount bumped up in government. And that's how we wind up where we're at, where eventually no one pays attention or cares anymore. We spend all we're getting plus a bunch more because we know we're good for it. Right. That only goes so far, Starla.
That's right. And we have trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. And there's not going to be a way to just reduce that debt without taking some hard look at spending. And so I think that's the focus that we're on, and making sure that people understand, what we've just done and how that impacts people. But I think at the end of the day, that's a big piece of where we're headed on the federal level.
You mentioned earlier about OBA, and I love pronouncing the acronym that way, the One Big Beautiful Bill. Talk to me about the effects that's going to have in Mississippi for Mississippians.
So one of the things that we had originally done is when we looked at this notion of a fiscal cliff back last fall, the amount of taxes that would have gone up for Mississippians, whether it be for a business or be for individuals, well, that's not going to be a problem, right? Because that is resolved by this. And that was really one of the main sticklers for us. But there's some other things that are coming from the bill that we think will be good. I mean, I know the state is looking at the tax credit scholarship. It's when we look at education and we look at choice and education freedom as a concept, it's not going to be a wherewithal that solves all of the problems for every child in their state, but it is an option. And so people are looking at that. The states, have to make a decision, and someone will at least about opting in. But there are some healthcare pieces that are really good, like amplifying some things around health savings accounts and those type of things that we support. When it comes to healthcare and the crisis that we have, I've often stated, and I say this, and I hear this around the state. When we talk about it, we've supported things like like eliminating certificate of need laws, and you would think it would be a very simple thing to say, like, hey, this is an anti-free market concept, and we should just be able to pass these. We should be able to get rid of them. But we have had to fight tooth and nail to get that through. But we're hopeful again, in the 2026 session that we'll be addressing that, and looking forward to some movement there. And we're going to stay in that fight for things, because we didn't get here with one big, ugly, poor decision. We got here with several. And so it's not going to be one thing that's going to fix it all for everyone.
Well, and that's the point I was about to make, because we have a tendency in this modern world to believe that one wave of the magic wand and we can fix everything everywhere all at once. It doesn't work that way. Never has, never will. As you said, it takes a lot of hard work, one step at a time, to get things where they need to be. I think what's so dispiriting sometimes, though, Starla, is that it seems like we're so many steps away from being where we're supposed to be that it almost looks like an insurmountable hill some days.
Sure. I think, it's when you've made a lot of poor decisions, you've subjected yourself to policy that wasn't improving the lives of people in Mississippi, but was pushing us further and further away from prosperity. I think as you walk back, sometimes you got to make some tough decisions, and sometimes that means we're going to have to make some cuts, and we're going to have to look at some things differently, right? We're going to have to innovate, and we are certainly seeing some things in our state economically where there is momentum. There's so much more to do. There's so much more to do. And I think we just have to keep moving in that direction, following that momentum, and looking at policy not as you said, the broad brush stroke, right? Looking at it as who does this help, or could this help, to some degree, every Mississippian? Could this better a piece of the policy? And if you do 10 things, right, that solve 10 problems with good policy and make opportunity available to Mississippians, I can assure you, as I talk to them across this state and I hear the things that they're facing, I hear the things that sound insurmountable, when we talk about solutions with them, they're in.
Yeah, we just got to make the moves. We got to make these things happen. Do have to give credit before we go to the break here to Governor Reeves and also the legislature for the amount of new industry and business that they are suddenly just bringing in all parts of the state. They're doing a good job of increasing the opportunity in the state. We just have to work on the back end of the problem too.
Absolutely. We have momentum. And, a lot of people said, hey, you moved back from Florida, no beaches. I said, hey, we've got a little beach. We got a little stretch of beach down on the coast there. I'm coming back home to Mississippi. But one of the things that I'm excited about is that momentum. I want to see my family's future generations, right? I've got little cousins that are third, fourth, fifth. Now I'm a fifth generation Mississippian, and I want to see them have a bright future, not have to leave home to go seek employment and better jobs. And I like the fact that we're moving in that direction. And let's keep doing it. Let's keep pushing policy that helps Governor Reeves with that momentum.
Don't get me started on the brain drain, Starla. We only have until 9 o'clock on the show, and you don't want to stick around that long anyway.
Okay.
Can you stick around for the next segment?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Starla Brown, the Mississippi State Director of Americans for Prosperity. Got a big event coming up next month I want to talk about, give you a chance to talk about as well when we come back on mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here. Stop laughing at me, Starla. I'm rocking out. It's Guns N' Roses. That's what you have to do.
She saw me rocking too.
Yeah.
It's the law. You have to rock out to that song. Starla Brown, Mississippi State Director for Americans for Prosperity. And you have an event coming up a little less than a month from now, August 14th, right?
Correct. So one of the things that we advocate for is education freedom. And that is a lot of different things, but they are options and choices for families to make for their K through 12 education path. Something that fits their needs. It may be their traditional public school. If they love it, they stay. But it might be a transfer to another public school. It could be a private school, a micro school. It could be virtual schools. It could be it could be textbooks. It could be tutors. So there's a lot you can put into what's called an education savings account, and that gets confused a lot. We see the word voucher in our state, but the voucher is not the same as an ESA. ESAs have a lot more flexibility. And so that's something we've advocated for. And a 3 months ago, I was talking with a couple of individuals, one being a pastor, the other, and I'm the granddaughter of a pastor who pastored for 65 years in Mississippi and Alabama, a couple of years in Texas. But we were chatting, and they were asking me a lot of questions and talking about how they thought sometimes for people in the faith-based community, a school that fits their values, right, or something along those lines is important, and they were trying to figure out how to, make some changes. And I started thinking about the fact that they didn't know as much as they could know. Just like in Florida, I was at a prayer breakfast once, and I was sitting there with a pastor and his wife, and their son was struggling in a school, and I said, well, hey, have you applied for a scholarship here to go to a different school? But, he had some needs, and they didn't even know what I was talking about. So the basis of this is we're inviting a lot of people from the faith-based community, so pastors, church leaders, elected officials are invited. We're going to have an amazing panel of individuals from an organization called Yes Every Kid, also Ed Choice. Our Alabama State Director is going to join us, so he can come over and talk about what they've done in our neighboring state. By the way, all of the states that touch Mississippi, and now 2 states over in some cases, we have education savings accounts, and we've passed a lot of things. So we're looking forward to an event. It's going to be at the Old Capitol Inn. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can go to Americans for Prosperity Mississippi. There's ways to sign up there, and we hope that people will come out and learn. That's what the day's about. It's about learning about these different options and understanding who they help, where they work, how they work, and hopefully clearing up sometimes what we see as misinformation or disinformation from people who oppose.
Well, and a couple of things. Want to make sure we make this clear. This event's free. You're not charging admission.
Nope, we're not. It's a one-day conference. I'm going to brag on the chef of the old Capitol Inn because he's a good friend and has always made a great meal when we have events there. So lunch is provided. We'll have a speaker during lunch. We've got a great panel. And toward the end of the event, we're going to sort of have a Ask Me Anything type piece of this where people that we've got the Speaker of the House, Jason White, will be speaking. We've got Moms for Liberty. Mississippi Ready's going to be there to share some stuff. And Holly Teray's coming over from Georgia. She's the faith director of an organization over there, but some people might have seen her on Fox News. She's a mom who's participating in school choice. She's going to share her family story. We've got some pastors speaking as well. So we're excited. We're going to have a good day.
Let me ask you, do you think that sometimes we get so caught up in making sure we support the system that we forget the entire purpose of the system is supposed to be dedicated and focused solely on the kids?
Ding, ding, ding. You know what? You need that staple easy button, right? So, yeah, because that is what I see constantly. And where I see it the most from are from the people who oppose the options and choices for parents, right? So look, bottom line, for more options are better than no options. And the more we have, the more options people have that fit their needs, right? So that's really sort of a bottom line for us. So we can have many different things in the state. We don't have to just have, again, that one thing, right? But I do believe that there are people in the state who oppose education freedom. And the bottom line for them is they're protecting a system versus caring about the needs of the students and the families. And those needs vary. It's not just about failing school. Sometimes they want to go to a different school because there's a pathway for what they're doing for their future. So I think you really hit the nail on the head with that part.
Well, one of these days I'm going to break my hammer. I see it coming. Or hit my own thumb, which I've already done several times. So,
Absolutely.
It works. Starla Brown, enjoyed talking to you. I hope the place is packed at the Capitol Inn next month on Thursday, August 14th from 10 until 3. Free conference. Go show up. Keep up the good work, Starla. Good job.
Thank you, Dave.
And take a nap in the air conditioning at some point. You're hitting the streets way too hard. Up next, we have Fox News, then SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 3 of Mornings on SuperTalk. Keep it here.